So it is now the beginning of December, and we are entering the holiday season, which is my personal favorite time of the year. Christmas is my favorite holiday. I love giving gifts for people. I love all the decorations. I'm sure by now you realize, just from watching my channel, if you guys have watched me for a while now, that I love the jewelry and wearing the different Christmas shirts and the Santa hats and stuff like that. I really am a big Christmas lover, and so I'm really excited for it to be December. I'd love to know if you guys are excited for this holiday season, how you guys celebrate, and especially if you have any holiday or Christmas movies that you love to watch at this time of the year. I have two ultimate favorite Christmas movies. White Christmas and Scrooge. Those are the two that I love the most, though I also really love Charlie Brown's Christmas, and I love most of the traditional Christmas movies that are out there. But those two are my all-time favorite, with Charlie Brown's Christmas being a close second place. So I would just love to hear your guys' favorite holiday movies or Christmas movies and what you guys do to celebrate, if you guys do. Yeah, I'm really excited because I have up my Christmas decorations, though I don't have enough of those. Hopefully in the years to come I can continue growing my collection of them. But the ones I do have are up and they make me happy, and I'm hoping that you guys are also having a great time of the year. And I guess let's go ahead and get started with today's class, which is on a very opposite note considering we are talking about the Drow in Homeland today. Let's go ahead and get started. Welcome back, Fantasy Fiction Fanatics. It's great to see you again, and I hope you're doing well. Today we're going to be talking about the next set of chapters in Homeland, chapters 17 through 23. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this book just as much as I am. I am certainly enjoying rereading it and discussing it with you guys, and these chapters are no exception. I definitely feel like the suspense of, things are piling up in this set of chapters, and we're not really sure yet where we are fully going and what Dritz's story is going to be leading us. So this set of chapters, we do have some interesting things going on that is going to put us in more danger and has a little bit more suspense of things to come. So hopefully you will enjoy discussing it with me, and we can go ahead and get right started with the recap. So we start off these set of chapters at the end of Dritz's graduation. He's coming back home after his time at the academy. And Malice brings everybody home, not just Dritz, but also her two children that were placed in the academy. They are being pulled from the academy and coming back to the House Do'Urden. Dinan, Dritz, and Masoj from House Hun'ett are all in the same kind of scouting party. They all have been grouped together with some other people to do their scouting and patrolling together. So they are going out on their patrols, and that's now becoming their kind of daily routine, or their 10-day routine. And Vierna ends up going to the Faceless One, aka Alton DeVere, to once again hope to hire him as a spy to look at the academy and kind of suss out which house might be against them, which of course he then tells to Sinefé. Sinefé goes to the council, decides that now is the time to go to the council and explain who Alton is, and asks them to look away and kind of close their eyes to whatever she is doing so she can get revenge on House Do'Urden on Alton's behalf. And they do concede to that, even if they don't really think that she is going to follow through with what she says. And then we see that Dritz's group, or raiding party, or whatever, has been chosen to go to the surface for a raid. And the group does go without Masoj. He's not able to be included, but the rest of the party does go ahead and goes all the way through the passages up to the surface and attacks the surface elves. Most of them are unfortunately killed, but Dritz was managed to save one child by concealing her and making it seem like he did kill her, and was able to save at least one child, and is completely destroyed by the fact that there's so much savagery and that these elves did not seem like they were vicious or at all what they were preached about during his lessons as a kid. And so that done, they're all victorious, they come back home, and House Do'Urden seems to be in a good place. However, it's starting to be told to the other houses that House Do'Urden has lost the Spider's Queen's favor, which allows Sinefé possibly an opening. On Dritz's next mission, she decides she's going to act, and she tells Masoj that he's supposed to try and kill him. Well, not try. He's supposed to kill him during their next outing, their next 10-day out. But he's having some difficulties with that. He is trying different methods or different timings that just aren't quite working for him. And they end up getting into a fight with these deep gnomes. They get word that they're there, and they go to attack them. So when they confront those deep gnomes, Dritz ends up having to fight an earth or stone elemental all by himself. And he is fighting pretty vigorously. And he manages to take it down. Unfortunately for Masoj, he's about to try and kill Dritz while he's kind of worn out from killing this elemental, only for him to be pulled into the earth and stuck there. And Dritz is taken off into the passageways by the gnomes. The group catches up to Masoj, frees him, and then they all go to try and collect Dritz. In the process, they're pretty much killing gnomes and chasing after them, and Dritz manages to save one gnome, Belwar. They do end up cutting off his hand, but they let him go because of Dritz's quick thinking to get him to be able to leave. So that is where we're at right now from chapter 17 to 23. So the big points here are that we have an opening from the Spider Queen because, the raid, Dritz saves that child, which the Spider Queen saw and did not like. And we also have that fight with the gnomes that is not only a big thing because Dritz manages to save one and tries to save him and such, but also because Masoj was supposed to kill him and fails. So we've got quite a few players moving about the board right now, and everything is kind of centered around Dritz on whether things have been working or not working. For the house as a whole, he's caused problems. Obviously, Sinefé was already working towards attacking them, but now she's gotten an opening. But Masoj has had difficulty killing him, so they're not succeeding on their first plan very well. So we're going to see what happens from here. But we definitely have the academy that we had setting things up, and now we are kind of getting into a little bit more, I think, of the actual problems that we're going to face, the main problems that Dritz is going to face in these chapters or in this particular book. So the first thing I want to talk about for this set of chapters is the Drow Enemies. So we have two main Drow enemies, which are both the two main enemies that the Drow have in general. And we experience both of them in this set of chapters. So first we meet the surface elves or the fairies, and we meet the deep gnomes. And both of them, they are very prejudiced against, they hate, they want to kill every single one of them if they could. So first, let's go ahead and talk about what we discover about the surface fae. First, at least based on the interaction that we had right now. Of course, in the future, we might learn differently, we might see things differently, but right now, what we find out is that they are actually pretty vulnerable. It doesn't look like they have weapons, at least not on hand when they're out, doing their dancing and their family event, because that is exactly what they kind of crash in on, is them dancing, having fun with their family, and being a community. And so they're very vulnerable. They don't seem evil based on this interaction. They are scared and frightened by the Drows. They don't expect them. They don't seem to recognize them. It's just immediate chaos and killing and frailty on the Fae side. They don't seem like they're mad or interaction. It's not like that kid that was there was, had hatred for Dritz. She's just a scared little girl. And then they don't really seem like the type of creatures that would be chasing the Drow into the Underdark and making them have to live down there. They're very much came off as a very peaceful, happy beings. Now, the Drow would never be caught dancing around a fire or smiling and caring about whether family is dead or not. So we can already see just by this interaction of, this mass slaughter of them, that they are not what the Drow have made them out to be. Like, they're not bloodthirsty. They're just, at this moment, having a fun time, which the Drow never seem to have fun. I don't even know if they think things are fun or not. So in general, it just is the picture that we get is obviously these Fae are not what they seem like when talking to them, or talking about them from the Drow. Dritz is very much having a struggle with them killing them because they are so innocent and they're not bloodthirsty and they're not what he expected based on how much hatred the Drow have put behind all their teachings of them and saying how evil they are. And that leads him to saving that child. The mother dies in front of him, and he's able to then save the child by covering her in the blood and having her stay down. So, super interesting that you come seeing these surface Fae. You can tell just from this instant of slaughter that they are not as they were depicted, even if we didn't get much interaction with them. We can tell just by the simplicity of what they were doing when we saw them that there must be a different story than what the Drow has preached so far. And then we have a different meeting of the Deep Gnomes, where they are a little bit more like how they're described by the Drow, and the fact that they are competent fighters. They do actually hate the Drow, which the question does come up for me, though, is whether the Drow killing them is what makes them hate them. Because, I feel like anybody would hate another race of beings if they're constantly being slaughtered by them. That makes sense to me. So it doesn't really prove to us yet that they're evil like the Drow make them out to be, as their worst enemy and just these other evil creatures that'll kill them back. But they are competent fighters, and they are able to use earth magic and to be able to defend themselves a little bit better than the Fae did. So they do have the ability to fight back, and they do engage with the Drow. And then we have, the fact that Belwar, at least, we have a little bit more interaction with him, doesn't seem to hate the Drow. That's not true. He does, they do have a hatred toward the Drow, but he doesn't seem to be, evilly hatred. Again, it seems like it could come very easily by just the Drow murdering their people, that they dislike the Drow. But Belwar doesn't seem like he is really that bad of a guy. It doesn't seem like he's evil and vindictive and anything like that. In fact, he does recognize that Dritz is saving him, that Dritz is having compassion for him and trying to do his best to get him off the hook. Even if that's all he can do is just one gnome, he's going to try his best to save him. And he does have to lose his hand, but he understands that his life was spared because Dritz spoke up and allowed him to get away. So we can see that at least Belwar, as our representative of the Deep Gnomes, is able to connect to Dritz and is very smart and able to recognize what is happening. So in both cases that we see them, Dritz has realized there is a disconnect from what he is taught and what he has seen, even if it's just briefly, with his interactions with these two different beings. And both times he has saved at least one of them, one Fae and one gnome. So Dritz is putting his life on the line and his house on the line, because Lolith is watching, by saving who he can save. Like, he's trying his best and he hasn't killed anybody. So the importance of this, and why I'm bringing it up here, is not just to look at these beings and look at these subsets and think about it as a world building type of way, because we are building the world. We're getting the snapshots of these two different types of beings, how they interact, if their hatred with the Drow is mutual, that kind of stuff. We're building more character and more depth to this world through this, and also because this is now going to be affecting Dritz as a character and affecting possibly what happens around him. So Dritz is saving people that he shouldn't be saving, because Drow don't save anybody, they just murder. So taking a look at this, Dritz is changing as a person. He's questioning even more what the Drow says. He's questioning how he's going to live in this society, how he's going to put up with this, because he does not able to go through with this. It's going to affect the fact that now his house is not in good standing with the Spider Queen, so that's going to cause danger and more enemies. It's going to change, the perception of people around him. It's going to probably get him into more trouble if they find out that he is doing these things, and if he is found out to being the source of Lola's anger. So all around, these interactions that Dritz has with these two separate types of beings is very important for our plot and for our character and for our world building. So looking at these and really seeing how this interaction is going to affect things in the future is important for us to understand the plot, understand our characters, and understand the motivations of other characters towards Dritz. So I thought this was super interesting to get us as a little bit of setup for what is to come moving forward. Next, let's go ahead and talk about Masoj Hun'ett. So he is very intrigued by Dritz, and he has been for a little while, ever since he was tutoring him at the academy. So he's intrigued by his abilities and how strong he is in both, weapons, and how strong he could be in magic. And then he's intrigued by the fact that he is so good at everything, and yet seems to have no ambition or ill will toward anybody at all. By this difference that he has from the other Drow, he is intrigued by it. Though he is also jealous. He is very jealous that Dritz is so powerful. He's so good with weapons. He could be so powerful with magic if he chose to study it more. So he's got both sections that he could do really well at, and yet seems to have no ambition and no cruelty to him. And he is jealous that he's like, hey, I actually want to get somewhere and I don't have these abilities, and I have to instead tutor this person from another house that I dislike. So he's got this little bit of intrigued, but he's also a jealous type where he envies him. He also is really jealous that Guinevere really likes Dritz, would prefer to work with Dritz than Masoj, even though he is her master or owner or whatever. So he's also jealous that his cat is so close with Dritz and works so well with him and has that connection that he can't manage to get. He sees the cat as his tool and as something that he alone should benefit from, and yet Dritz is taking that from him. So he's very excited when mistress or matron Senefe, his mom, tells him that he can kill Dritz and Dinan if that has to come up. In fact, she tells him that he is not allowed to fail killing him within those 10 days that they are out doing the patrolling and guarding. And during these set of chapters, he has the right to kill him, and he's very excited about that, very hopeful. And yet at the same time, it's very interesting because he doesn't complete his task. And he seems very jumpy or very much all around on how he's going to choose to do this. At first, he's going to use Guinevere because he likes her so much, or Dritz likes her so much. But then he chooses, okay, I'm not going to use the cat. And then, okay, I'm going to do it this way. And, I'm going to do it at this time. And he's like, has to bide his time because he can't just do it in front of everybody. That's against the rules. But he also keeps kind of jumping around, being unsure about a plan, going with one plan, then changing his mind. And then, he has this personal vendetta in it that is messing with him just executing the plan that he has, or executing Dritz, as you will. So part of it is because he can't find good timings, and part of it is also just him making small mistakes, like when Dritz was fighting the elemental, he kind of calls himself out and proves that he's there when he's trying to hide and just watch him be killed. He chooses not to use his cat anymore and wants to do a different way of doing it. He's having to bide his time because, people are there. So he's struggling with getting this done when he's so excited to do it. You would think he would be a little bit more set in how he was going to do it and making opportunities happen where they are a little bit more away from the group and can execute his plan. But instead, he's kind of fumbling it, which I think is very, very interesting. In fact, I'm wondering if Masoj could have ever killed Dritz. Not saying that it's impossible, obviously, but I wonder if he really is so set on killing him, or if his own personal intrigued thoughts and motivations are kind of weakening his resolve in the time that he could do it. Or whether it really is just that he had bad timings, or if maybe he's not truly committed to killing Dritz, because, not just because of that intrigueness, but because of the uniqueness of Dritz. Is he as dedicated to doing it? He didn't even try to blast him with his own magic while he was fighting the elemental, which he could have very easily done. He could have been distracted with fighting the elemental, and instead he's trying to let the elemental kill him and make it look like an accident, but he could have easily, done some magic to either distract Dritz or, kill him while he's fighting and stuff like that. So it's very interesting to me to see that he was so excited to kill him, and didn't, especially, and then didn't really seem like he was following through fully to the extent that he could have. And how will this set everybody back? Like, everything is kind of being set back because their first execution of attacking Drow Enemies was to take out Dritz, who is kind of their star player, as it were. So this is going to affect Sinefe's plans. And so this whole portion of the attack is already being fumbled, which means that maybe later we might find that House Drow Enemies will not be taken down, or maybe they will, but at this point, Dritz is kind of throwing a wrench into everybody's plans, or possibly Masoj is not as committed as he should be to killing Dritz. So, the reason I bring this up, and I'm discussing it for this particular section of chapters, if I could talk, is because our major opponent right now has been Sinefe and House Hun'ett. So we have to keep tabs on where the enemy is, because we want Dritz to succeed, or at least I want Dritz to succeed, and I think we are supposed to want Dritz to succeed and to survive. So our major competitors for House Drow Enemies and Dritz is Masoj, and by extension House Hun'ett. And right now things are not turning out so well, even though they have lost the Spider Queen's influence, at least at the moment. Maybe they'll be able to regain it back. We'll find out. But it is definitely interesting to see how the enemy is working, to keep an eye on them, so we can see and understand how events are going to progress further down the line. Right now, Drizzt is our main character, so it seems unlikely that he is going to die. I mean, also, the series is called The Legend of Drizzt, so it seems likely that he's going to succeed, but we still have that kernel of anxiety, like, is he going to be super hurt? Is he actually, not going to make it, and it's going to switch to House Do'Urden, and we're going to have to reassess our thoughts on this series. But the back and forth between House Hun'ett and House Do'Urden are the two main things that we've seen this entire book so far. And so right now we're getting a little bit more closer and closer to home of actually being against each other fully. An attack either from House Hun'ett or possibly Do'Urden being preemptive if they find out that it is Hunnett's house that's doing it. Maybe they will attack first. We don't know. All we know is that right now they're getting closer and closer to their actual confrontation. So interesting to keep an eye on Masoj at the moment. And last, I would like to talk about the Spider Queen. So right now the Spider Queen is kind of like a character, even though she's not really a character. And I think that that's super interesting because characters affect other characters. They either mess up their plans, they're friends with them, they help each other out, they grow. Other characters grow because of the characters that they're with, interactions, that kind of stuff. So characters are really important for other characters. And the Spider Queen acts a little bit like a character in the fact that she affects what's going to happen. So it's important to kind of keep her in mind because she is a major player, even if she's not fully a character in the book. House Do'Urden is now out of her favor. And we already know if you're out of her favor, it's very easy for you to be murdered and destroyed. So House Do'Urden is in a vulnerable place right now because of Drizzt's motivation. Or action, sorry, not motivation. And Drizzt has actually done a lot of blasphemous, I guess quotes might not actually be, technically it is blasphemous items, but you know what I'm trying to say, is that they're kind of walking the line, and he's even talked bad about Lolith, and he's done a lot of things that have been in contrast to Drow society, yet they have never been out of her favor. But that surface raid has made it so that way they are now out of their favor because she saw Drizzt help the surface fae or whatever. So now that is going to be affecting how characters do things. House Do'Urden, if they find out about that, is going to act differently now that, they're out of their favor. House Hun'ett is now trying to make their moves because they have an opening that is led from the Spider Queen not praising them and letting all the other houses know they're out of my favor. So we've got kind of a character effect here without her actually being somebody that we see and interact with. But she is a presence that we are seeing and interacting with, and this particular set of chapters has set us up to have a change in her role. So before, House Do'Urden was in her favor, so the role was as a deity and for us to learn about their religion and for the blasphemy that Drizzt is, talking about and doing, and they are just trying to control him. But now he has actively put them in danger and out of her favor. Is there a way even to regain that favor with Drizzt in the picture? That is extremely unknown at this point. Will the family have to take out Drizzt to regain their favor? Or how can Drizzt do something that is evil enough to regain the favor? Because Drizzt is not, we have seen, capable of making those moves, of being that evil person. So This favor, or being in her favor, is going to really affect what happens from now. And we're going to find out if House Do'Urden will know that they're out of her favor in time to hopefully correct things and save themselves, or possibly not, which will then affect also the outcome of the story. If the house is killed, not necessarily Dritz, but everybody else, that will affect Dritz and what he has to do next. Or maybe they will win, and then that will affect how things move on from there too. So right now we are on the cusp of whatever's going to happen, because we've had a shift and a change from the Spider Queen, which is now tipping us over into an unknown result. And we are going to find out what that result will be in the coming chapters. So it's super interesting just to keep in mind about the Spider Queen, about their religion, and kind of examine her a little bit like a character. I think we need a little bit more solid information to do a total dive onto her as a character, but she does interact enough that we can at least see that the changes that she makes and her motivations can affect the characters that we are actually more involved with. And now let's do the nitty gritty as our last thing. First thing to keep in mind is that we have set up for this next set of chapters a confrontation between Dritz and Zack. And it's going to be interesting if the misunderstanding between Zack and Dritz is going to either be resolved, or if Dritz will kill Zack, or, maybe Zack will, seriously injure Dritz. It's going to be interesting to see where that goes. But that confrontation is probably going to come in the next set of chapters, because they set it up to be after that 10-day that we just finished. So keep that in mind. Will this misunderstanding be resolved, or will things go south from here? 2. Dritz is now evolving even more because he has visited the surface and he has found that he loves it. He loves it, and he loves the sun and the feeling of the sun on him and the brightness of the blinding light that he is not used to. So will that affect us later on? We're going to see. Maybe not in this book, maybe in future books. We will have to find out. But we have had a brand new experience that he is completely alone in experiencing the way he did, with love and thinking that it was washing away his sins and feeling like the surface world was a relief to him as a being. So we're going to see if we're going to try and transition Dritz out of the Underdark, or if he won't be able to make it out, or how this is going to work for us. So it's going to be super interesting to see how this changes him as a person. And last but not least, a thought that is developed in this set of chapters is also interesting for me. And I think it'll be interesting to kind of chat about it and keep it in mind, is that Vierna is also Zack's child. We find that out, that is also his daughter. And she is softer than her sisters and mother. Not a lot. She's still a priestess. She still believes in the system. But she has had her moments. She's had times where she has questioned the religion a little bit. She's questioned how hard she should be. When she was raising Dritz, she liked that difference in him, noticed it, and cared about it. So definitely we see that little softer side, and that obviously has come from Zack as well. So possibly she could also be different and pulled over to Dritz's side and Zack's side of things if they worked hard on it. Maybe not so much anymore now that she's actually done the rest of her schooling to become a full priestess and has been a teacher there and such. But you never know. We have seen that moment in her. We do know that that is in her character, and maybe that will come to light eventually. And that is it for today's class. I hope you enjoyed the discussion points I brought up. Let me know if I missed anything, or if you have any questions, comments, or concerns. I'd love to hear about it. Love to hear your thoughts and what you're thinking about so far. And just love to hear from you in general. Now let's go ahead and go over the trivia question. Sorry I was up for a couple weeks, but now we have a new trivia question, and I will give you the answer to the old one. The question was, which story might one find the rodents of unusual size? And the answer is Princess Bride. Congratulations to JC, the Dread Pirate Christian, Brendan, and Paul for the correct answers. Thank you for everybody who answered and participated in the trivia question. I always enjoy seeing your answers and seeing what you think for the answer is. And thank you for playing with me. I have a great time and enjoy thinking of the questions and figuring out what might stump you and what you might know. So if you'd like to join the trivia question, you're welcome to go over to the blog, fantasyfictionfanatics.net. It is going to be on that right-hand side. You'll scroll down just a little bit for desktop, and you'll see it. If you're on mobile, you'll have to scroll almost all the way down, but it will be there for you to answer. We would love to have you join and play with us, and it would be really great to see what you think the answer is. All right, that is it for me today. While you're over on the blog, you're welcome to check out more content from me if that is what you're looking for. I've got book reviews over there. I've got recommendations. I've got different ideas on different fantasy topics, reading topics, all that kind of stuff. So if you are looking for something more or something different from me, you can go ahead and check it out over there. Let me know if you'd like any particular content either here on the channel or on the blog. I would love to hear your suggestions and see what you'd like to see from me. You are welcome to get updates or to contact me through social media if down below is not the best place for you. You can head over to Facebook, which is /fantasyfiction1. You are welcome to head over to Twitter, which is @fantasyfiction1. You are also welcome to see me on Instagram. Instagram is my one that I am still learning, and it's a little bit slower on putting out content, but I hope that you follow me there. I am still working out how to do better content and to get more out for you, so hopefully you will enjoy that. And I am enjoying trying out this new social media. Plus, you can reach me there if you'd like. Last but not least, and the best place to go in my opinion, is the Discord, which is for us fantasy fiction fanatics. It will be a link down below to join, and over there you can talk to not only me but your fellow fantasy fanatics, and we are having several people over there already talking, having a good time. We talk about fantasy things, non-fantasy related things, anything at all. You are welcome to join us and discuss it, and I would love to see you there. I think that is it from me today. That should be it, at least. So if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, let me know, and I'd be happy to have a conversation with you. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!